Good morning, students. Today I am going to tell you about a lesson from Flamingo, that is Deep Water, composed by William Douglas. I have already taught you in the two previous videos about the lesson, and in this very part I will tell you something more about what did happen when he was completely paralyzed, numbed and subdued, and however William Douglas tried to come on the surface of the water. He could get the help of a ladder, ropes or something. He could not get, and now he thought that his end was almost approaching because his lungs were ached and mind throbbed. So it was a big problem for him how he would survive in this very terrible condition. Now this was a time that something happened very positive, but it was not enough. What was that? There was light. He was coming out of the awful yellow water, but his eyes were at least coming. His nose was almost out of water. Again he went down. Again he went down. It was the third time that he went down. Then he started down a third time. He sucked for air and got water. The yellowish light was going out and all effort ceased. Now he was in a relaxed condition. Even his legs felt limp, uneven, and a blackness swept over his brain. It wiped out all the fears. When there is no fear, it means that your brain is not working. It was quiet and peaceful. His mind was quiet and peaceful. There was nothing to be afraid of. He was quite relaxed. It was quiet and peaceful. He was in the state of oblivion. He was in the state of oblivion. He had nothing to be afraid of. He was feeling sleepy, drowsy. No need to jump now. He was too tired to jump. Whatever energy he had consumed it all. So now he thought it is nice to be carried gently. So it was now to float along in a space. Tender arms around me, tender arms like mothers. Now he must go to sleep. Means now he must die. It is much better. There was no fear at all. He crossed to oblivion, nothingness. Oblivion means nothingness. And the curtain of life fell. Means now he thought that his death is inevitable. The next he remembers, he was lying on his stomach beside the pool. The next day, not the same day, after some time. Means after every hopelessness, disappointment, there is a ray of hope. If the dark night comes, there is a bright morning. It dawns. So, one should never give up. The next he remembers that he was lying on his stomach beside the pool meeting. The chap, the man who had thrown, the young boy who had thrown him in, was saying, "But I was only fooling." Someone said the kid nearly died. This kid was nearly at the door of death. So, be alright now. Let us carry him to the locker room. What is a locker room? There is a changing room or dresses. So he was taken to the locker room. After several hours, what did happen? He walked home. He was weak and trembling. He shook and cried when he lay on his bed. He could not eat that night. For days a haunting fear was in his heart. The same sight was coming in his mind. How he used to just drown himself. For days a haunting fear was in his heart. The slightest exertion would upset him, made him oblique shaking in the knees and sick to his stomach. He never went back to the pool. Now he feared water. He avoided it whenever he could. A few years later, when he came to know the waters of the cascades, he wanted to get into them. When he heard about the waters of the cascades, he wanted to go. And whenever he did, whether he was wading the Titan or bumping river or bathing in warm water lake of the goat rocks, the terror that had seized him in the pool would come back. Really, he was like that. It was a very terrible condition. Whenever he saw, his legs started failing. His legs would become paralyzed. Icy horror grabbed his heart. The horror that really seized his whole body. He was unable to move it. He felt such a terror. This handicap, this crippleness stayed with him as the years rolled by. In canoes, boats on main lakes, fishing for landlocked salmon, bass fishing in New Hampshire, trout fishing on the Deschutes, and Metolius in Oregon, fishing for salmon on the Columbia, at Bumping Lake in the Cascades, wherever he went. The haunting fear of the water followed him. Means you must know the names Hampshire, Metolius in Oregon, and Columbia Bumping Lake in the Cascades. Here, whenever he went, he could not find himself in a comfortable condition. It ruined his fishing trips. He was deprived of the joy of various things. Deprived the joy of canoeing, boating, and swimming. It was a very terrible condition. So he was unable to understand. He used every day. He knew that he had to overcome that very fear, but it held him firmly in its grip. Finally, it was October 1 when he decided, 1 October, he decided to get an instructor and learn to swim. He went to a pool and practiced 5 days a week. He practiced 5 days a week, an hour each day. The instructor put a belt around him. It was a rope attached to the belt, went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. He held on to the end of the rope, and they went back and forth. The cable went back and forth across the pool, hour after hour, day after day, and week after week. He practiced continuously. On each trip across the pool, a bit of the panic seized him. Each time the instructor relaxed his hold on the rope, and He tried to comfort him. Whenever he went under, some of the old terror returned and his legs used to freeze. It was 3 months before the tension began to slack. Means how many months did it take to relax his tension? 3 months. Then it taught him to put his face under water and exhale. He was taught how to put his head under water and breathe out, how to raise his nose and inhale underwater. He repeated this exercise hundreds of times. Gradually, he shed part of the panic that had really engulfed him, and he was able to put his head under water. In this video, this much. In the next video, I will tell you something more. Thank you, children. Thank you.